that we've just gone through as we wait for the Clubman's cars, the Thermo Clubman's regional saloon cars to roll out on the circuit for their second race of the day. I got a WhatsApp early on from Trappist van Tonder saying that my car is too slow to keep up with the BMWs, but he's not going to give up, that's for sure, as the Clubman's cars roll out onto the track for their second race of the day. There's Andre van der Merwe going through in that Chrysler of his. Beautiful motor car. More cars working their way out of the original pits, with the Jabir pits being on the opposite side. That's the Chrysler. There's the Ford Falcon of Eva de Toy. Chris Fursch coming through as well in his car. And that's the Blanche car that had troubles early on. I see it back out on track again. Remember in race 1 that had trouble between turn 3 and 4, between Damson, Saddle Sweep, pulled off on the left-hand side there where you see the cars go through now. But they do have Sam de Blanche's car back out on circuit once again.
Well, looks like just about the whole field has actually made it back out on circuit again, which is fantastic, barring Jess Huggett, a hole through the block and a hole through the radiator. Probably find the piston climbed out of the block and went looking for the radiator and stuck a hole through that as well. So, yeah, what does the future hold for Jess Huggett in terms of motorsport? I don't know. Just too many disappointments, too much outlay of money, not a whole bunch of happiness. Going to be back to the drawing board and determine which way to go forward from there. Tried every trick in the book to make the configuration that he's got work correctly, but still to no avail. But on the flip side, great to see Clint Renard back out on circuit.
Yeah, well, after getting a DNF in race 1, let's hope it goes a lot better for him in the second one. There's Paul Munich just ahead of him as Michael Lesieur. Zak Grunewald working his way
starting a lot
through.
closer to the front this time around, Zak Grunewald.
Stephen Goos, Trappist van Tonder, Dylan Jabir, Dexter Bruce, and all of them just working their way out of Cape Town corner, through the kink, and onto the Porsche Club straight, the main straight, under the City of Cape Town bridge. Big thanks to them, big thanks to Line Property Management. Big thanks to all our sponsors, Castrol. Big thanks to Smile FM, playing more 80s than anyone else in Cape Town. A big thank you to Smile 90.4 FM and the City of Cape Town.
Well, I think the driver of race number 1 that needs big mention is Stephen Goos, the man from Thermo. What a massive, massive race he had up front. That motor that's in there, I was speaking to his brother during the luncheon interval. He says Stephen put this motor together himself and fitted the turbo and did all the adaptions and what have you. He's got bigger brakes on the front of that car now as well. He says if you can't stop it, it doesn't help you make it go faster. And the overall package, pretty much his own brainchild that he's got there. So building it is one thing, setting it up is another. Building it, setting up, and driving it at the front end of the pack, that's the whole picture. So my driver for race number 1 definitely, and I hope it's not going to be a commentator's curse, will be Stephen Goos. So let's take it from there as they work their way down through turn number 3. And we're looking for a sponsor for turn 3. There's no sponsor on that corner. So
it's apparently on its way, according to
do
management.
So. We actually heard the name, and it's a company that's
making a comeback again.
Yeah.
It's been here before, and it's coming back again.
Coming on a couple of cars, driving here at Killarney International as well. So far, so good. It's been a great day's racing, and a couple of weeks from now, we'll be back here again for round number 2, and then 1 week after that will be Extreme Festival. This year, Extreme Festival will be coming to Cape Town on 2 different occasions, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and it's going to be a full house of Extreme Festival. I think the Volkswagen Rookie Cup is the only class that's not coming to Cape Town. Now, they'll probably come late in the year, but otherwise, everybody else that's supposed to be here will be here on the 14th of March.
Right, they work their way down the back straight. A notable omission on Class A today is Stephen Heidenrich and Shane Smith that we hope to see out there in Class A.
But we did see Stephen with Mr. Justice down in his pit area.
Yeah, he's here, but minus the vehicle. Pretty sure he'll probably, I believe Shane is going to be starting from pit lane. Rolling start it's going to be as they come up towards the line. Frankie, take him off the line.
The lights go off now and away they go, and it's a lovely start off the line there by Clint Renard. Absolutely side by side. Clint Renard making his way down into turn number 1. He's got Shane Du Toit there on his outside, and look at Zach Grunewald. Zach is in that fight as well. Michael Lucia was tucked in there behind them as they worked their way, and Shane Justice does leave the pit area. So it is Clint Renard and it is Shane Du Toit side by side with Zach Grunewald right in there in that third position, as the rest of the field just filter through Castrol Corner. We'll get them now as they go through the Lunchstem Kink and towards Damstip. And it is Shane that is in that first position. Zach is second. Clint has dropped, Renard has dropped down into that third position. Then it is, I think it's Lucia that's coming through there just behind them as they work their way up the hill. And it is Lucia followed by Paul Munich as they work their way through the double right-hander saddle sweep and onto the Kalani Straight.
First time they get a chance to get the hammer down the... Oh, look at this. Zach Grunewald goes for that inside line. And, well, it looks like Zach Grunewald is, in fact, going to the front of the field. It is Shane Du Toit in second. Then we've got Clint Renard in that third position. It'll be Michael Lucia and Paul Minnick will be the next two that comes through. And then Stephen Goos.
Yeah, and right there with Stephen Goos, we have got Dylan Jabert coming through, and that's a whole lot of them that's coming through. That is Munich, it's Bruce, it's Jabert, then Mario Roux that didn't start race number 1, as a matter of fact. As the field works its way through, there's a BMW that they're pushing out the way there that had trouble in turn number 1. But have a look at this. Zach Grunewald sits there on the outside of Shane Du Toit with Clint Renard there in that third position. Then it's Michael Lucia coming through. Behind Lucia is Stephen Goos, and Paul Munich is in that fight as well as they go through Dexter Bruce, Dylan Jabert and Mario Roux.
Well, it's still pretty tight up front. There's not a lot of gaps between the front runners at this stage. Still 5 laps to go, but nice to see the size of the field and the competitiveness in the front third of the field. And then, Frankie, there's a bit of a gap, but there's another massive battle going on further back as well.
There's lots of dices happening all the way down. There's dices in the front, there's dices at the back, there's dices in the mid-pack, there's dices everywhere. You pick up a fight with anybody in Clubman's regional saloon cars as the leaders are making their way under the City of Cape Town Bridge. They're working their way into turn number 1, into block 1 corner. And we'll get them. Yeah, they come into block 1 corner. It's Zach Grunewald that will lead them across the line. Shane Du Toit, Clint Renard in that second position. Then it is Goos. It's a bit of a lock up there by Stephen Goos. And behind him is Michael Lucia. And behind Lucia is Dexter Bruce that's coming through. He's got his nose ahead there of Paul Munich as they head to the line, and Stephen Goos pulls the Jetta 3 off the circuit and into retirement.
Well, Frankie, I'm jumping in with you here, and just in a matter of fact, that just happened right in front of us, but it is in a semi-precarious situation. I don't think there is a yellow flag through turn 1, so it's maybe just more off the circuit, or more than enough off the circuit rather. As the rest of the field goes through turn number 2, we jump back to Damstip. There you see Paul Munich, as well as, I believe that looked like Mario Roux's car, but I wasn't sure if he was out again, and he is out back once again in 8th spot after a difficult and rather troublesome retirement in race number 1. We watch as him and Dylan Jabert, the number 1 Clubman's car, after winning C-Class last year, and overall, in fact, he heads down towards turn number 5, Cape Town corner. It's 2 VWs and a BMW just behind them, or trading out. That's your top 9 as we watch the rest of the field come down towards block coin.
The leader's heading down into block coin corner. It is Zach Groenewald from Shane Du Toit, from Clint Renard, from Michael Lesieur. Behind Lesieur, it's Dexter Bruce. Then it is Paul Munich and Mario Roux. The two of them are side by side, followed there by Dylan Jabir. Then it is Andre Fourie. That's the next man that's coming towards us. And then it's Adrian Roberts, David Vermaak, and Chris Fursch coming through. Then it is Trappist van Tonder. Lance Arendse is in that fight as well. Sandra Becker is up on his inside. Andre van der Merwe is coming through there as well. Then it's Johnson, and carving his way through from pit lane into P18 is Shane Justice.
Shane Justice moving up the field quite mighty, and we'll look in the next camera shot, okay, just in the background as they go into Castro Corner. The Pro Oil car, sorry, not Pro Oil, Origin Oil car has a perfect position to cut through the likes of Van der Merwe, Johnson, as well as coming up onto the back end of Sandra Becker as they go down into Dam Stipper. We'll move forward throughout the midfield. There we see Shane Du Toit make his way through. So I lie, no. There is Chucky. That's Chucky. Adrian Roberts.
Adrian Roberts, yes.
That makes his way ahead of this group of 4 as they go down towards the final corner. Once again, there is David Vermaak up the inside with Chris Furch in his BMW E36, but Chucky does not let that slide that easy, as well as Trappies sits on the case. It's 2 Polos versus 2 E36s at this point in time.
And they are fighting it out there just before that mid-pack. As we watch the three of the lot of them go, here comes David Vermaak. Then it's Adrian Roberts, Chris Fursch, and Trappist van Tonder. As he losing power there, Van Tonder, then Arendse, Becker, Van der Merwe. Here comes the other Van der Merwe and Du Toit. That's the Chrysler and the Ford Falcon. And then Wayne Rosser in that fight as well.
Yep, and I'm watching on the screen Shane Justice just making up the ground as there's Zach Groenewald. Right, and rightfully so, leading out at the front end of the field ahead of Shane Du Toit. Clint Redard up into that 3rd spot for the number 3, and Michael Lesieur in 4th overall. A-Class is in the top 3, that being 2nd, 3rd and 4th, with a Class B car, that being of Zach Groenewald, currently leading out as they head down towards the final corner.
Yeah, Trappist is losing lots of ground out there. He was saying to me earlier on WhatsApp that the car needs more power. He cannot keep up with the BMWs, he was saying. As the field just rolls through, there goes Dylan Jabir as they start their 3rd last lap. 3 more laps to go. Zach Groenewald in Class B, leading the field out of block 1 corner.
Zach Groenewald with a 1:22.759 as his fastest lap. I wonder when and if he's going to break into Class A during this round, as Shane Du Toit has Clint Renard on his tail, as well as Michael Lesieur. The 2 turbo cars of Lesieur and Bruce, not that far between the 2 of them. As we look a little bit further back, and there is Roux from Munich. Just behind Munich is then Trappist van Tonder, who still is ailing ever so slightly. Just ahead of him, however, is Dylan Jabir. Then we have
Andre Fourie coming through.
Andre Fourie, yes, after just purchasing that Chiara van Niekerk car ahead of Dave Vermaak.
Yes.
There is Adrian Roberts, and then still we saw the bright, it's not green, I've been told, it's highlighter yellow of Shane Justice.
Yeah, as we watch the leader coming through turn number 5 out of Cape Town corner. That BM is squirming underneath Zach Groenewald, as he's got a couple of back markers that's just ahead of him as he comes around to start his penultimate lap. Sitting out there in P1, Shane Du Toit in 2nd. Welcome back, Shane. Followed there by Clint Renard, Michael Lesieur, Dexter Bruce, racing down towards turn number 1. Then it's a bit of a gap before we see the rest of the cars come through. This is Mario Roux, and right on his heels is Paul Munich.
Yep, and then we see Dylan Jabir in the background. They were quite close to 3 of them a couple of laps ago, but that gap has opened up quite dramatically in the closing stages of this race, and even more so, another close battle, however, between Andre Fourie and Trappist van Tonder, that unfortunately has that car just dropping down the field. Then it is for Mark ahead of Robert and Justice. And that front bodywork seems to be flapping around a little bit as there comes Johnson just ahead of Becker. Aronser. There is the
Evert de
Toy in the Falcon ahead of the Chrysler of Van der Merwe and the Golf of Rosser.
And the Golf of Rosser now, they've got a lap and a bit to go now before we see the checkered flag. And Zak done at 122.759. He is the fastest man out there. As we pick up Dicers a bit further down the field, there's Dicers everywhere in this Clubman's. So we wait for the leaders to come through. They've gone ready into turn number 1. They are, here comes Michael Essure past us. He's also heading into turn number 1. There goes Dexter Bruce, who just picked Dex up, coming through into block 1 corner. So this is the final lap. And this is the man that sits in P1. That is Zak Groenewald working his way out of Castrol.
And I'm just looking now as they come in. Look at the white Golf of De Toy and the black Golf of Michael Essure as Clint Renard has disappeared somewhere around the circuit.
Well, he's shown in 8th unless he's going to drop down the leaderboard. But we've got a frozen frame here as we're going to wait for the leader to come to the checkered flag. And that is Zak Groenewald. Way on his own, heading down towards Cape Town corner is Zak Groenewald, working his way through Cape Town corner. There he goes, Zak Groenewald. Only a few hundred meters left, Geordie, before he sees the checkered flag.
Yep, Zak Groenewald in the number 43 has been synonymous for sliding that car around many a time, but he's put the pedal to the metal and he's kept it right straight and center to take victory in race number 2 of the Thermo Fires Clubman Saloons. And look how close this battle was between De Toy and Essure to the line, coming right up to the end, as well as Dexter Bruce in that turbo BMW in 4th.
Yeah, Dexter Bruce coming towards the line. Then we should have, these are 2 back markers. There goes Paul Munich, just coming through your shot now is Paul Munich, and he's just behind Mario Roux. So it's Ruben Munich that finished in 5th and 6th across the line. Here comes Dylan Hubert, the reigning, defending Clubman's regional saloon car champion. And he will finish in 7th. You're waiting for Andre Fourie to come through in the Golf in P8. Yeah, he comes, and right behind him is Shane Justice and David Vermaak.
If on that last lap, Shane Justice was able to make up 2 positions to put him into 9th. Imagine at the back of the grid, 24th position all the way up into 9th. Now that is a real drive of the day, in my personal opinion, as Sandra Becker comes across the line, as well as Evert de Toy.
Yeah, and then Andre van der Merwe coming through as well in that Chrysler. And then we've got Te Blanche that's coming through in that 16th position. And Rosser also finishing, Wayne Rosser also finishing his race down in P17, as the rest of the cars just filter through to take the checkered flag.
What a brilliant race number 2 that was to end off the day for the Premier Saloon car category here at Killarney International Raceway and at the Power Series. And you know, it is the first race of the season, Frankie. We all know the story of some of the guys on holiday and cars aren't done, or they break in testing and whatever. But I've got a sneaky suspicion that come round number 2 at the beginning of March, we are going to have a good number of cars in every single class.
Yeah, I'm almost certain of that. That's Lee Fielding. That's on his slowdown lap in that blue, white and red BMW. As he makes his way back to the pit area. Couple of replays. That is just the fight between Groenewald, De Toy and Renard early on in the opening laps of this race. Sponsored by Thermo Fires, Clubman's regional saloon cars. And that's the replay of Stephen Goos pulling the Jetta 3 off the circuit.
Very, very unfortunate, because he was in such a good position from the start of the race. But something just not going so happy
Yeah.
with that turbo Jetta.
And
And
that's
even as well, Clint Renard, we saw that one frozen frame that we had, and it was in fact him that had parked on the outside of turn number 1 in the access road. So.